And welcome back to another episode of Born to Talk About Sports. I am your host, Steve Bourne. Today I'm just going to do a quick recap of the Super Bowl, and then I'm going to get on to my main topic of the World Baseball Classic. Just quickly recap the Super Bowl. Everyone knows Kansas City Chiefs beat the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35 in a very close game, very competitive game until the refs decided to get their nose involved. Um, was it a holding penalty? Technically, yes. Was a holding penalty worth calling in a tie game less than 2 minutes ago at the Super Bowl? Definitely not. You can't say the refs screwed the Eagles, but they screwed them out of a chance to at least tie the game. Instead of Kansas City kicking a field goal with about a minute and a half to go and giving Philly a chance to come down the field with two timeouts to either tie it or win it, instead, Kansas City wins it with a field goal with 8 seconds left, and Mahomes gets an MVP for not even throwing for 220 yards. That being said, Philly had their chances, blew it early, and remember what I said last week, guys. When you're playing Kansas City in the playoffs, you're playing the refs, and Philly found that out the hard way. So yeah, that's a quick summary. Kansas City will went by winning the Super Bowl. Gets to host the season opener in September after the first Thursday after Labor Day. Looking at their home schedule, the teams are going to be playing on their home at home next year. I think the three most likely candidates to kick off the season will be either Buffalo, but I doubt that for the simple reason is Buffalo opened the season this past year. Cincinnati or a Super Bowl rematch. It'll probably won't find that out until about late April, early May. But until then, baseball season is just around the corner. Spring training has officially opened, and since it's been delayed a couple of years, brings back the World Baseball Classic. I've discussed this with friends and family. First of all, the timing of this is absolutely god awful. Have it in the spring where guys will not, especially pitchers, will not get the full spring training they need. And I wouldn't be surprised if this leads to injuries. I hope not, just because pitchers who will start the season having to go, say, their full 95 to 100 pitches without full spring training and monitoring by their club teams and club doctors, could potentially lead to injury. I don't mind having a best on best baseball tournament. I think it's great for the sport, especially worldwide. But now it's probably the dumbest time. The best probably time to do it is do what the NHL did when they used to go to the Olympics: is cut out the season by 2 weeks, have your tournament, have your best on best tournament, and keep everybody in one area. Have the tournament, say, in one state. Even say if you can do it in California, you've got multiple ballparks in California. Or heck, even do it in Arizona and Florida, where you've got the spring training parks, and just go through that way. You'll have the players warmed up. It'll feel like a nice little break in the season, and you can make up those games that not being played without delaying the season at all. You can do scheduled doubleheaders like they did last year when the season started about a week or two late because of a lockout. It avoids injuries, especially in spring training when more pitchers than anybody else need the spring. Position players come into spring for the most part relatively ready to go. Anyways, they use the spring for more warm ups and meeting new teammates and new coaches and stuff like that. With the World Baseball Classic this year, looking at some of the rosters, the Dominicans always look strong. The Americans look strong. Japan, we just don't know much about. Japan and Korea are usually the two powerhouses out of Asia that you don't know much about. There's not much more than say. It's like what I always find interesting is how Puerto Rico actually has a team, even though they are actually considered they are part of the United States. Canada they've got the best first baseman in the tournament, in Freddie Freeman. former and National League MVP, and had a good first year with the Dodgers last year. And Canada also has one of the better up and coming pitchers in Cal Quantrill, who will probably be excuse me, the ace of the staff. So I mean, Canada could surprise. Probably just don't have enough pitching. But yeah, so that's basically my little rant on the World Baseball Classic. Is that it's a fun tournament. Don't get me wrong. I love a best on best tournament, whether it's basketball, baseball, hockey, obviously soccer. Just had that in November. But if baseball wants to do the World Baseball Classic justice and make it actually something fans want to see, instead of just saying, "Oh, I hope my guy doesn't get hurt," before the season even starts. Like you say, do it in 2 weeks in July. Like you say, do it in Arizona or Florida. And obviously those games would have to be at night, because you can't really do Arizona and Florida in July during the daytime. Or if you, let's say, maybe do some California. I mean, they've got what, like 3 ballparks they could use. Or you could go all the way to the West Coast and do Seattle as well. So you got 3 or 4 ballparks you can use. And you could schedule a game, like 2 or 3 games a day. So logistics, that shouldn't be a problem. Or you could do in the East Coast, or keep it in the East Coast and do, say, you got 2 stadiums in New York. You've got Boston, Detroit's or Cleveland isn't that far off. You can keep it in that area where travel time is near minimal. Or hell, even say if you're going to keep it in the East Coast, well, I mean, why not Toronto as well? And just keep the games relatively close together, and let's say the middle of the season, to me, it makes the most sense. It's the one of the very few things that Gary Bettman has done right, is when you, at least before the NHL stopped going, because they didn't want to go to Korea or China, just because I think they learned the lesson after Nagano in '98 that the travel was too much for the players, with a quick turnaround after going to the other side of the world. But with the next Winter Olympics for the NHL, next Winter Olympics is in Milan in I guess it's 2026. No, first of all, it'll be the best dressed Winter Games ever. But with the if the NHL wants to do that, or they're wanting to do a best on best, like a quote unquote World Cup of hockey, we'll find out soon enough. They were supposed to do it this upcoming year, just before training camp started. But with the whole fiasco with Russia, they're not going to invite a Team Russia with what's going on right now, unfortunately. But yeah, just a quick thing again on the World Baseball Classic. Personally, I might watch it a little bit here and there. I'm more as a Blue Jays fan, I'm more interested on just watching the Major League Baseball spring training, just because with all the new rules with the bigger bases and the pitch clocks and the banning of the shift, I want to see how players react to that, especially pitchers with the pitch clock, and even batters that have to get into the box without doing the whole Nomar Garciaparra and doing their batting gloves, adjusting their helmets, adjusting their nether regions. And so yeah, that's what I'm more looking forward to in March right now, as far as baseball goes. Is the World Baseball Classic. I really do understand what Major League Baseball is trying to do with the best on best tournament. Just the timing is god awful. I mean, I just really hope we don't see this. As a Blue Jays fan, Jose Barrios is pitching for the Puerto Rican team. He needs to have a rebound year. I think he should have taken a pass on this. I'm surprised that more teams have said no to their players joining. And if I were the Blue Jays, I would have said no to Jose Barrios. But again, you got to make players happy, unfortunately. And so it is what it is. I mean, Vlad Guerrero and Jimmy Garcia are pitching for the Dominicans. Or playing for the Dominicans. Vladdy's probably not pitching. Hopefully. Hopefully not. And so, yeah, tell me what your thoughts about the World Baseball Classic. Like I said, I understand its purpose. It's gonna be it's fun to watch the best players in the world represent their countries. but just the timing, like I said before, the timing is terrible. I want, I like to have your feedback, and I'm gonna go from there. The NHL trade deadline is coming up. A couple of big moves have been made, and I'm gonna do a quick preview of that next week. And until then, stay safe out there and have a good week.